Hey everybody, and welcome back to, you guessed it, yet another A plus 220-1201 lesson. This time we're going to be having a look at exam objective 3.8. Given a scenario, perform appropriate printer maintenance. We're going to learn about the different types of printers you need to know about for your exam, the kind of questions you might be asked, and give you some practice exam questions on those exact things. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with laser printers, guys. So laser printer, what is it? Look. It's going to look like a regular printer on the outside, but on the inside there's a few key differences. The first one is it doesn't use something called ink. When we think of a printer, we think of ink, right? Laser printers use toner, which is well represented by this image. It's essentially like almost a powder-based version of ink. So ink kind of squirts out in that liquid form, right? Laser printers use toner, which is a powdered form of ink. And we're going to see how that comes into play later. But just remember, if you hear the word toner, you know we're talking about a laser printer. And the laser printer uses a high-powered laser to connect that toner onto the paper. We're going to have a look at exactly how it does that. But first, before we get to know exactly how, we need to understand the exact components of a laser printer. What does it actually consist of? The first thing we need to know about is the imaging drum. So the imaging drum looks something like this, right? It is a big drum on the inside of the printer, and this is actually the component that transfers the toner onto the paper itself, okay? This is what transfers the toner onto the paper. How does it work exactly? Well, here's how it works. The drum is given a negative charge. It's given a drum-wide negative charge, and hence all the little negative signs, and then the laser paints that imaging drum with a positive charge. So you can see here and here and here and here, right? That has been painted with a positive charge by the laser. The toner will only stick to the drum where there is a positive charge. So that laser is drawing positive charge onto the imaging drum, dictating where the toner will actually stick. All right, so that's the imaging drum, right? We've gone through how it works. And next is the fuser assembly, right? The fuser assembly can be seen over here. And basically what that is it heats up, and once that toner has been put on the imaging drum has rolled around and placed that toner onto the paper slides through the fusing element, the fuser assembly, and with that heat, it fuses the toner to the paper, finalizing the output. Okay, it finalizes the output. You then also have the transfer belt, which basically coordinates the application of colored toners. So it's making sure you're using the right color by transferring the right color into use, I suppose. And the transfer roller, which works alongside the imaging drum to transfer toner onto the paper as well. Pickup rollers, the same as any printer. It's drawing paper from the input tray into the printer itself, and then the separation pads ensure only a single sheet of paper is being picked up by the rollers, and the duplexing assembly enables automatic double-sided printing. That's with all printers. Duplexing is about double-sided printing. So that's a rough overview about the specific components, but let's have a look at exactly the process that takes place. So the first process is processing. So this is when you send your print job to the printer. The printer's working memory is rendering the incoming print job, determining how each page is going to look. And then we get charging. That's the process we talked about before, where a negative charge is placed on the imaging drum, all right? It's given a negative charge all over. Why does it have a negative charge? Well, it's given a negative charge for the next step, which is exposing. The laser then paints the charged drum with a positive charge, creating a pattern that corresponds to the print job. That's exactly what we were talking about before, guys. So the laser paints a positive charge onto that imaging drum, right? Just like we talked about in the last component just before when we were having a chat about the components of the laser printer. And then we've got developing. So the negatively charged toner is attracted to the positively charged areas on the drum, forming the desired image. So that's basically when, long story short, right? We've painted it. The laser has painted it. Now that's going to roll around, be covered in toner, and the toner is going to stick to that imaging drum only in those positively charged places. That's what that's referring to. Then we have covered transferring, right? That's it. Then we've got fusing, where it's gone onto the paper, and the paper passes through the fuser assembly, finalizing that output on the paper and fusing the toner to the paper. And finally, cleaning, which is when excess toner is removed from the drum to prevent residue from affecting the next print job. So guys, some key giveaways here, right? If you hear any of these terms for your exam, you know we're talking about a laser printer. Toner, immediately a laser printer. Imaging drum, immediately a laser printer. Laser, immediately a laser printer. Fuser assembly, immediately a laser printer. Keep that in mind as you go through to your exam, guys. Now, we need to know about maintenance, right? You need to make sure you are replacing the toner. So the printer will generally alert you when you need to do that. So power down the printer, make sure it's powered off. You're just going to remove the empty cartridge and replace it with a new one. That's about all you need to know, really. You do need to also apply a maintenance kit. This is going to apply to a wide variety of the printers as well. It's basically a collection of replacement components designed to keep a printer running smoothly and efficiently. So basically, look, it's going to make sure that the printer's parts don't get worn out, right? Like the rollers or the fuses. So the manufacturer will give specific recommendations for usage intervals based on the number of pages printed. So generally, after you've printed a certain amount of pages, you should get a notification saying, hey, it's time to actually apply that maintenance kit. So turn the printer off and start to apply the maintenance kit based on manufacturer instructions. It's going to differ a little bit depending on each individual printer, but just now's the time to do that because we've printed this many pages, all right? Finally, calibration. In a laser printer, or really a laser, inkjet, a wide variety of printers, calibration is basically the process of adjusting the toner density, alignment, and color balance to ensure consistent print quality and accurate colors. So sometimes you'll look at an image on your screen and then you'll go to print that image, but the colors will be off. That may be because you need to calibrate your printer to make sure it's using the correct colors in the correct way, to make sure, if it is looking too light or too dark, you can recalibrate the printer to maintain color accuracy. That's the thing you definitely need to know for your exam. And cleaning. On the exterior, you can use a damp cloth to clean the printer's surface. And on the interior, you can actually get toner-specific vacuums to clean internal components. You want to ensure smooth operation and reduce dust buildup. If you get a buildup of dust, it's not going to be good. So use that toner-specific vacuum on the inside as well. Toner-specific vacuum, right? It's just built for that specific purpose. You don't want to use any old vacuum to do that, all right? Now, the next thing that we need to know is the inkjet printer. Inkjet printers are more commonly, they're more close to what most of us think about when we think about a printer, right? They use ink. So they have these little ink cartridges, right? We've all seen these before. You insert those into your inkjet printer. They use ink. They don't use toner. They use ink. All right. They're known for their affordability, quiet operation, and ability to deliver high-resolution prints, making them popular for home and small office use. All right. So, again, we need to know about the specific components that are there. So you've got the ink cartridge. We talked about that. The ink cartridge, it looks like this. Okay. It's not toner. It's an ink cartridge. That's the dead giveaway there, guys. Okay. So you also have the print head, which is basically the mechanism that actually transfers the ink from the cartridge onto the paper. So you've got an example of a print head here, right? That is what transfers the ink onto the paper. It's pressing down and squirting that ink out onto the paper. So it's often integrated with the ink cartridge as well. And as all printers, you've got the feeder roller, which just feeds that paper through, the duplexing assembly, which allows you to print on both sides of the paper, and the carriage belt in relation to the inkjet printer as well, which is a motorized belt that moves the ink cartridges horizontally across the width of the paper. And the job of that is to ensure ink cartridges traverse the page smoothly, allowing for precise placement of ink. So it's just moving the carriage and the cartridges across, making sure the ink is going where it's supposed to go, essentially, right? That's its job. Now, we need to know about the maintenance. We need to make sure we're cleaning the print heads. If we don't maintain our inkjet printers, right? This is an AI generated image. I don't know what the hell this is. But if you don't maintain it, you look like this guy. You don't want to look like this guy. Okay, so how do we maintain it? You want to clean the print heads. Over time, print heads can become clogged. You want to make sure that you do clean those print heads. If you notice you're getting streaks or missing lines, it's probably time to clean them. You can often initiate the automatic cleaning to prevent that buildup, right? You can actually say, hey, time to clean the print heads, press a button. So you can do that manually. Sometimes it'll do it automatically, but if you have concerns, you can initiate that process manually. And for a deeper manual clean, you can remove the ink cartridge, gently wipe the print head with a lint-free cloth and isopropyl alcohol and reinsert it. See if that helps, all right? In terms of replacing the cartridges, when you start to run low on ink, your printer will tell you it's time to replace them. That's pretty much it, guys. Turn the printer off, replace them according to manufacturer instructions. And the calibration is the same as laser, same concept. If you're getting odd colors, it might be time to calibrate your printer. Clearing paper jams, right? In order to do that, if you get paper stuck in the printer, you'll just need to turn the printer off, remove the paper tray, and inspect it, see where the jam is, gently pull out any jammed paper, right? And then reload the paper and just try again, right? That's pretty much it. That's honestly all you need to know, guys. I swear to you. The next type of printer is a thermal printer. This is the type of printer that is often used to print receipts. It uses a special type of paper that when it has heat applied to it, it turns black in that spot where the heat is applied. So it is really commonly used to produce receipts. It's cheap, it's portable, they come quite small, all right? But it's important to note the fact that they use this heat-treated paper that's particularly sensitive to light and heat makes them unsuitable for long-term storage. Anything you print with this, you're going to want to try to keep a digital copy if you need it for long-term storage, because over time, heat and light exposure will pretty much make the whole thing fade or go black. All right, so specifically what we need to know is it has a feed assembly, which basically pulls the paper smoothly through the printing mechanism. That's pretty much it. You just need to know that is part of that printer. As with all printers, it's pulling that receipt, that heat-sensitive paper through the mechanism. And we talked about how it has that special thermal paper. I already covered that really, guys. So just if you leave it in your car or on heat, it'll fade or go black. So it's not good for long-term storage. That's pretty much what you need to know about that. Now, how do you maintain it? You want to make sure you're replacing the paper when that paper starts to run out, right? So just long story short, follow the manufacturer instructions, guys, okay? You'll just need to make sure you follow the instructions, carefully remove the old spool, and place the new spool of thermal paper in there when you start to run out. Make sure you get the specific thermal paper for your model as well. It has that specific thermal paper. You might also need to clean the heating element. So, of course, the heating element plays a crucial role because you need that to produce your prints. So, over time, you can get build-up, which can affect your print quality. Cleaning it periodically prevents streaks, smudges, and uneven prints. So, the steps to doing this, guys, is basically, as with all things, manufacturer instructions will provide you with specific recommendations, but we'll start to see some similarities here. You can use a liquid cleaner such as isopropyl alcohol or IPA, and a cleaning pen designed for printer components. So just follow the instructions, guys, from the manufacturer and you should be sweet. You can also remove any debris, any dust and debris that may have accumulated inside can be removed by, of course, as always, turning the printer off. You can use compressed air to blow that debris out as well. All right, so that's what you need to know about the thermal. The next one is impact, guys, the impact printer. Impact printers are known for being quite loud, hence this gentleman covering his ears. So how does this work? It's also known as a dot matrix printer, and it basically works by stamping the ink onto the paper. So it's very loudly slam, 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 stamping that ink onto the paper. So it uses a print head that physically is actually striking an ink ribbon to transfer ink onto the paper, creating characters or images. Now, they do have low-cost ink, ribbons, and operational simplicity. They're very simple, right? So they can have a very low cost per page, but they're very, very noisy, right? And they don't really produce high-quality outputs compared to the other ones that we've had a look at so far. So, right, you just need to understand that they're very loud. Basically, they're often used in industrial settings is going to be the key thing for you to understand. You'll be used in an industrial setting where you need multiple pages, potentially copied outputs. So something like this, right, where it would actually stamp so hard that the ink is going to go through the first layer, onto the second layer, and through to the third layer, and you'll have 3 copies from that impact printer. So in an industrial setting where you need an output like that, that may be what you want to go with, okay? So other than that, we'll have a look at the components. So we've got the print head. That is the head that actually slams down into the paper. We have the ribbon, which is a fabric ribbon saturated with ink. This ribbon is saturated with ink. It's pressed against the paper by the print head. So the print head slams that ink-saturated ribbon down onto the paper loudly, repetitively to create the output. And then the tractor feed is just a mechanical system designed to pull paper through the printer using the edges, right? It has those little holes in the paper, and the tractor feed pulls that paper through using those holes. So as I said, generally you're going to use it in industries, in industrial settings where cost efficiency outweigh the need for high resolution prints, and you don't really need to worry about noise. So think about financing and accounting, logistics, or industrial environments, guys. Just think about this basic image here. Impact printer, right? That's not an actual one, that's an AI generated image. But when you think of impact, think of like industry, loud, noisy, can't take that noise, right? You're not going to want that in an office. Now, It uses that multi-part paper, which we've already largely talked about, where you've got the top sheet, the middle sheet, and the bottom sheet, where that ink transfers onto those multiple pieces of paper, so you can get multiple copies with that one print output, which is pretty efficient and cost effective, absolutely. And then in terms of maintaining, you need to make sure you are going to be replacing the ribbon, the ink saturated ribbon when it needs to be replaced. You're replacing the print head when it needs to be replaced, and you're replacing the paper when it needs to be replaced. That's pretty much it, guys. Follow manufacturer instruction relating to those. You won't need to know specifically step by step how to do that. You just need to know that you need to do it in general. So we're going to go ahead, guys, and get into the multiple choice questions now. We're keeping it pretty easy, pretty breezy, and I'm going to give you some questions that you may be asked on your actual exam. So let's get to it. The first question reads, Michael is troubleshooting a laser printer and wants to understand its key components to diagnose potential printing issues. He reviews the internal mechanisms responsible for transferring toner onto paper, ensuring smooth operation. As he examines the system, he identifies parts such as the imaging drum, fuser assembly, transfer belt, transfer roller, and paper handling components. Which of the following correctly lists the components of a laser printer? A. Ink cartridge, paper tray, scanner bed, imaging drum. B. Imaging drum, fuser assembly, transfer roller, pickup rollers. C. Ribbon cartridge, duplex scanner, toner pad, heat plate. D. Toner cartridge, projector lens, plate and glass, separation pads. Pause the video if you need more time. Answer comment in 3, 2, 1. This was a really easy introductory one, guys. It was largely comprehension. The answers were actually in the question. I'm getting you started easy and breezy and will slowly increase in difficulty. So the first one was B, imaging drum, fuser assembly, transfer roller, and pickup rollers. You just need to know the components of each type of printer. All right, guys. That's pretty much what it boils down to. This next one, here we go, ramping up that difficulty. 2, which of the following correctly outlines the imaging process of a laser printer? A, charging and then exposing and then developing and then transferring and then fusing and then cleaning. Or B, developing and then transferring and then charging and then exposing and then fusing and then cleaning. Or C, exposing and then charging and then developing and then transferring and then fusing and then cleaning. Or D, transferring and then fusing and then cleaning and then charging and then exposing and then developing. Pause the video, read it properly. Answer coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It is A, charging, exposing, developing, transferring, fusing, cleaning. Just know, right, that imaging drum is charged. It's then exposed to the laser. Then the toner is transferred onto that. And then the transferring is when it's gone from the drum onto the paper. And then it goes through the fusing assembly, that heated element, which fuses it to the paper. And then it's cleaned afterwards. All right, you do need to understand briefly what that is. You can pause to read in more detail the specifics, but that's pretty much what you need to know. The next question reads, David is maintaining his office inkjet printer to ensure it continues operating efficiently. Which of the following best lists the required maintenance tasks for an inkjet printer? A, toner refilling, fuser assembly replacement, transfer roller cleaning. B, hard drive defragmentation, RAM upgrade, network troubleshooting. C, cleaning print heads, replacing cartridges, calibrating, clearing paper jams. Or D, screen brightness adjustment, antivirus scanning, software installation. Take a few moments. Answer coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Pause the video. It is C, cleaning print heads, replacing cartridges, calibrating, and clearing paper jams, guys. Essentially, pause that if you need to. But the key giveaways here was in A, toner refilling. Toner should immediately tell us it's laser. They said it's inkjet, so we should immediately cross that out. Hard drive defragmentation, RAM upgrade, network troubleshooting, not really specific to printers, especially not inkjet. Cleaning print heads. Inkjets have print heads. They use cartridges. And these two definitely apply, although they do apply to more than one type of printer. But the print heads and the cartridges were the dead giveaway here because screen brightness adjustment, antivirus scanning, and software installation is not printer specific enough to be the correct answer. Next question reads, Jessica is troubleshooting a receipt printer used in a retail store. She notices that the printer does not require ink or toner, but instead relies on heat to produce images on special heat-sensitive paper. When printing, the paper turns dark where heat is applied, creating the necessary text and graphics. She also observes that the printer operates quietly and efficiently, making it ideal for fast-paced environments like point-of-sale systems. Which of the following best identifies the type of printer Jessica is using? A. Inkjet printer. B. Laser printer. C. Thermal printer. D. Impact printer. Pause the video if you need more time. Answer coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Let's go. It is a thermal printer, guys. A thermal printer. You need to know when you would use each of these printers in which particular setting. So thermal, really quiet, uses that thermal paper that's sensitive to heat and light. That was the dead giveaway. Inkjet uses ink cartridges. Laser uses a laser and an imaging drum. Impact is very loud. They said they want a quiet one. It is a quiet printer, so it's not going to be Impact, okay? How many more? Okay, one more. Let's do it. Last one. I'm giving you guys a lot today. Rachel works for a busy retail store that prints hundreds of receipts daily. She needs a printer that operates quietly, does not require ink or toner, and is cost effective for continuous high-speed printing. Since durability and efficiency are key, she wants a printing solution that works well for point-of-sale transactions and eliminates concerns about running out of ink cartridges. Which type of printer best suits Rachel's needs? Take a think. Answer coming in 3, 2, 1. Before we go, guys, right now, you should be able to tell me this is what a laser printer is and what it does and when I would use it. And you should be able to do that for every one of these options. So try to do that now before you go to the answer. Just try to do that now. All right, we're going to the answer. 3, 2, 1. It is, guys, again, thermal printer. That I chose a bunch of random questions from my learning guide, and it looks like I just chose 2 on thermal printer here. My bad. But hey, either way, it gave you the opportunity to know what you are going to need to be able to do for your exam. All right, so look, if you want a free practice exam where you can go and just download it there for 100% free, the link is in my description and in the pinned comment. You'll get 3 performance-based questions. You'll get 90 multiple choice questions. And if you are enjoying my content, you can go and get my learning guide, which this guy said has helped him pass his test to date. So I'm very glad I could help him through that. Oh, look, I actually have more comments here. This one says, your learning guide is goated. I don't comment a lot, but it helps with organized information and helps me piece things together more easily. Great, glad I could help. And I downloaded your learning guide already. I can see it will help immensely with studying. I tried some other popular resources, but struggled absorbing the material, right? Glad I could help all these people. Absolutely. In my learning guide, you get everything broken down by exam objective. I go really in detail, break down by exam objective, even further into every dot point of the exam objective. I also go into giving you multiple choice questions for every exam objective. I give you detailed answers for every exam objective. I give you 11 performance-based questions. I give you a performance-based question interactive troubleshooting, performance-based question simulation where you can actually click on the buttons, right? You can go in, try to solve each one of these people's issues, and you can solve the issues with this printer and this printer, right? I also gave you a video on how to use AI to study effectively, how to use multiple choice questions to study effectively. So that's over at journeytocyber.com/1201. You can click the link in my description or in the comment below. Otherwise, guys, have a good one. You don't need this. I'm going to keep putting this course out 100% for free, and I'm going to do heaps of quiz videos as well. This is just if you want me to hold your hand through it, and if you want like 100% the best chance you can get at passing, grab this. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you in the next one. All right, see ya.